Hey everybody, welcome to the zoo. It is Sunday Night Live. It is your show, folks. We've got YouTube, we've got Patreon, we've combined everybody, and it is Sunday Night Live. Now, as you know, people will check in as we go along every week, except on those times when there's a holiday, we do a Monday Night Live. Every week it's 6 p.m., and that's when we start Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. I guess that would make it high noon on Hawaii. Anyways, it's getting wild, folks. It is getting crazy out there. I know there's a lot of you here right now at the zoo, and we're ready to get it on. We've got a lot to talk about. Now, I have, as you can imagine, had the opportunity to compile a list of shit that has hit the fan all weekend long. But it is Sunday, and it's the zoo, and that means this is your chance. You guys get to direct the show. You get to throw everything you can at me, including the kitchen sink, and I'll answer those questions. Now, there's just a couple topics I can't talk about, but quite typically I can dance between the raindrops and get to the content that you have in mind. So there's a super chat button up there. You hit that, you have a question, you have a comment, you have a statement, you have a prediction, a prognostication, even a joke, right? Get that question up there, I'll read it. But there's a super chat button up here, and that is what supports this channel, folks. Super chats go a long way in paying the bills, keeping this luxurious underground bunker always at a happy medium, folks, about 74 degrees, always nice in here. 74, well, and in the summer, that's a little warm, and in the winter, I'm sure it'll be a little bit chilly, but that's okay. All is good in the bunker, and we have a lot of topics, folks. This administration, the Biden administration, is off the hook stupid. It just is. There's no getting around it. The political left has just run as far left as they can, and they've ran us right into the wall of socialism, hardcore. And they're not letting up. They're still driving in that direction. And we here, Americans, are saying, wait a minute, I thought this was the land of the free, the home of the brave. I thought we had a constitution and law and order. I thought we had all this shit all hammered out. We had it all figured out, yet this is where we're at today. Some little mealy-mouthed turd can say there's an emergency and we have to believe him. We can't even argue against it. They can start taking our rights. Folks, in Australia, they are taking people out of their homes and locking them in camps. Locking them in camps. In New Zealand, you can't have a bucket of the Colonel's secret herbs and spices in the boot or trunk of your car. That's right, folks. In Hawaii, you're not allowed out of your house unless the government gives you permission. And only certain people are allowed out for certain things. Are you kidding me? This is our world that we live in because of what? Because somebody sneezed? Oh, it's crazy. We got DDG who checks in with a $10 super sticker. DD, you hit it right off the bat, right out the gate. And your donations go into the GTFB and SB fund. That's the Get the Fuck Back and Stay Back. Because this is where it's at, folks. Right here in the United States of America. This is where it's ultimately going to be fought. And won or lost. And it's up to you and me. Now, I don't promote violence. I don't promote it. I don't incite it. I don't glorify it. I don't glamorize it. I don't encourage it, but it's going to happen. It has to happen. It did happen in Germany, folks, in the 1930s. It did. We did, or they did, have violence over there. It was just not enough to stop the Nazi machine. Here in America, it's a little bit different. And it should be, because we have the history lessons behind us. That's right. The lessons that history teaches us, folks, that tyranny doesn't stop. Tyranny doesn't change its mind. Tyranny cannot be reasoned with, bargained with. Nope. When it comes, it's on. I mean, when was the last time you heard Get this, folks. When was the last time you heard Joe Biden say, you know, I was wrong about that? When was the last time you heard any politician in Washington, D.C. say, you know what, we made a mistake? It was an error in judgment. It was an error, right? A mistake, a screw up. When was the last time you heard anyone in D.C. saying it's their fault? And we're just going to put things right back to the way they were. We got Mike Adams, who checks in with a $10 super chat donation. Thank you, Mike Adams. No question, it appears there. Perhaps if you put a question down, Jolene will see it. And I want to say it's very special thanks to Jolene and Uman, who are the moderators. And again, it's important these days, folks, that we understand that there are rules governing our speech. Now, it's not like the old days where there are actual rights that we had as people. Now we're told you can only speak if we say it's okay. Now, in real life, folks, when I go out the back, make a left, climb up the ladder and step outside, nobody can tell me what I can or can't say. But here on camera, I've got to be careful, right? Yeah, so there's rules. Anyways, Jolene and Uman will keep an eye on things. And if you're a troll, I welcome you to speak up and start spouting off, please. For the rest of us, let's have a great conversation. Let's talk about what the fuck is going on today. Let's get it out, folks. Let's get it out there in the open so that everybody can see it. And it's important because you need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. You need a plan. You need this stuff, folks. Has it ever been more self-evident than today that the government is not here to help? That old phrase, we're from the government, we're here to help you. That was a joke 40 years ago. Now, people, we know what the government is. It's here to screw us over. It is. That's all it's good for, folks, is screwing us over. Whew. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, I don't know what's in the comments, folks, because the only thing that shows up on my screen here is when I get a super chat and a question. Otherwise, you guys, it's kind of like a conversation window over there. And I think we've got a lot of people in the house. We just topped 400 people live, folks. That's more than the President of the United States gets on any given day on his YouTube channel. That goes to show you, well, number one, how unpopular he is. Number two, how well we are doing here. The Prepared Mind channel reaches, folks, tens of thousands of people every day. Tens of thousands of people. So what I want to do is ask you to take any link you see off of our website, right, off of YouTube, and share it with other people, because people are waking up faster than ever. They're realizing something is really wrong. And I want to give you a great example of that. The Department of Homeland Security, the guy's last name is Mayorkas. What a special character he is. So the Secretary Mayorkas, who said in front of Congress just last week, this is what he said: the border is closed. What does that mean? Because we've got people coming across the holes in the border. So obviously he's not talking about that part being closed. And here it is that he has admitted that 15,000 folks, 15,000 Haitian migrants in Del Rio were not tested for cerveza bug prior to being allowed into the United States of America and spread throughout the United States of America. 15,000 of these people not checked for anything. And folks, Haiti is a very poor shithole of a country. These people weren't tested for, I don't think, any disease. Now, I seem to remember 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, when people came to the United States of America, they were put in quarantine. They weren't citizens, and they needed to be quarantined to ensure they weren't coming into our country and spreading disease. And this was, folks, the rule. This is understood the way it is, right? Unless you come from a country in modern times where they have very good health standards. Nope. No, at a time when you're locked up, at a time when they would want to tell me if they could, and I won't listen to them, but if they could, they would tell me I must do everything they say. I've got to go get the Jim Jones jab. I've got to drink the Kool-Aid, right? And walk the zombie walk. If they could, that's what they would tell me to do. But they'll let these people in? Is there any way anyone can see this is not a super spreader situation? You know, they like to look at people who are unvaccinated and say they're super spreaders. And they want to look at anyone who isn't vaccinated and say, you are causing trouble in this country. You are risking other people's lives by your mere existence. Yet the government, the federal government, does this. They allow 15,000 Haitians into the country and just they turn them loose. How many Mexicans and other Latin Americans? How many Afghanis? You know, these 95,000 people, they told us 95,000 people. How many of them were screened carefully? How many of them were just turned loose to start mixing with the public? We don't know. We got Crazy Uncle checking in with a $5 super chat donation. And folks, there's a super chat button up here. You hit that button, make a donation, put down your question, and I will deal with that question as best we can. So let's have some fun. That's the big part about What the Zoo is. It's what's on your mind. What do you guys want to talk about? What kind of ball of shit can we get stirred up and just firing off? So Crazy Uncle says, prepper tip, remember logistics. Beans, bullets, reverse World War I, Band-Aids, added after World War I to Vietnam, and batteries. We are in the information age now. Yeah, prepper tip. We got a lot more than just, you know, beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. We got a lot more than that. You know, at thepreparedmind.club, that is your superstore for prepper items. We sell not just beans, Band-Aids, and bullets. And you can get bullets there if you go through the ammo link. Anyways, we've got water filtration systems because water is not safe anymore. Even if you live in a city, you never know. You never know. We've got communications equipment like radios, walkie-talkies, CBs. We've got that stuff. We also have, folks, body armor, long-term food storage, but as Crazy Uncle talked about, power, batteries. Have batteries, folks. Hey, have solar panels with battery to store that energy that you get during the day, and you can charge your devices. Devices including radios, walkie-talkies, lights, literally lights, LED light programs. You've got all kinds of things, folks, that can be charged. Computers, phones, and I even ran a miniature fridge at the RMZ on solar power. Right? In other words, while the rest of the world is suffering, you don't have to. So be smart. Do that. Get your stuff. Whatever it is you need, folks. It is a much more complicated world. And you need a radio. I recommend any radio that gets world band, any radio that gets shortwave, any radio, even AM, FM, folks. People are going to be broadcasting on all kinds of radio equipment if they take us down, if we go into SHTF Mad Max style. People are going to want to know what's going on, and I guarantee that there will be a media blackout. Mainstream media will not want to talk about the problems that they've caused. And they'll say, well, we don't want to give the bad guys in that area any information that's useful to them. Crazy stuff. We got William C. checks in with a $5 super chat donation. He says, please comment on the 2022 NDAA red flag bill aimed at the military. I think they are after people we all know. Well, folks, as you know, it's a rare day that you get to throw one at me that I don't that I don't see and know about. In this case, you don't have me stumped. I'm well aware of this, and I about came out of my skin, William. Thank you very much for bringing up this topic. And guess what? A lot of Republicans voted for it. What am I talking about? This is not a law, folks. This is a bill, meaning it's a piece of paper and they voted on what is on it. But it was passed, folks, by the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. This is war on the Second Amendment. Now, this is what it's about, though. The NDAA is the National Defense Authorization Act. In other words, it's a pre-existing set of laws, the NDAA, that gives the government power. You see, it takes laws and statutes and rules to give the government power. You and I, we were born with our rights. Government has to be granted power. They think that they can grant themselves power to violate my rights. Not a fucking chance. Not a chance in hell, folks. Not a red flag chance in hell. One provision within this bill, and this is what I believe I'm supposed to be talking about, allows for military courts to confiscate guns from ex-members of the military. So a military court would be able to issue a protective order which would make the owning of a firearm by an ex-military member illegal. Now, I'm pretty sure that a military court has nothing to do with me outside in the civilian world. I mean, they're crossing a lot of fucking lines here, folks. A military court, a tribunal, has rights over private citizens. This goes right back into 1776, 1775, 1774, where we had fake courts, where bullshit charges were made, complaints. This person over there is a bad British citizen here in the colonies. And so they would have a kangaroo court, bullshit trial, and they would enforce non-laws on the people. Well, here's a great one, right? Now, what is a red flag gun confiscation law? Well, a red flag law is someone thinks you are a threat, that you are a risk, that you are dangerous. And so someone will make a complaint against you. They'll take it into this court. The court will consider the information and then tell the government, send your agents to that person's house. We think they are a risk. We think they are dangerous. You don't have a chance to know that see, you haven't committed a crime yet. This is pre-crime. They're telling you ahead of time that you are a dangerous criminal person. You cannot have, folks, lawfully your rights stripped from you because somebody else is afraid, because someone else is fearful, because someone else decides you're a risk or a threat. You know what's risky and threatening? Fucking government. That's what's risky and threatening. They're the ones threatening our rights. They're the ones in government, Washington, D.C., state governments everywhere, even city governments, that are violating our rights. So this red flag law is someone waves a red flag. That person over there is dangerous. And they want military courts to go after ex-military. I am not under any military court's jurisdiction. I have been properly discharged. I've got my DD-214. They do not own me. They have no jurisdiction over me. They have no power or authority over me. I am not on a military base or on federal property. The federal government, nor its military, has any jurisdiction over any area of my life or any of my rights as granted by God Almighty. But that's what this is that's been passed by the House of Representatives. Huge subject. Fucking huge subject. Does the federal government and military courts have any jurisdiction over ex-military people? No, they don't. But they're trying to say you could be dangerous. This is an attack on veterans by the military, by the political left and the rhinos in Washington. Now, it's not a law yet. The House passed it. The Senate has to pass their version of it. If they don't take it up, it's a dead stick. If they take it up, and they pass their own version, then they go to conference committee, they put both of them together, try to decide what they like, and it has to pass that, and then go to the president, who would probably sign anything you put in front of him, as long as it came with an ink pen and a fucking ice cream cone. All right, we got Crazy Uncle back again with another $5 super chat donation. He says, John, not trying to piss you off. Well, you did, sir. He says, not trying to piss you off. What will happen to those being forced out of the military for not taking the Jim Jones jab? What about getting a job after that? Now, let's talk about this one. The Biden administration, that is President Xi, hairy legs, corn pop, I want to sniff your granddaughter's hair, Joe Biden, that one. His administration is saying that they want all military personnel to get a tequila shot. And if they do not accept their tequila shot, they are to be reprimanded and dishonorably discharged or thrown in prison for disobeying an order. It's not a lawful order. For disobeying an order which affects military readiness. That's okay, though. They can have a fucking drag queen show and force people to go to that. They can force a rainbow flag march down the highway and you as a military person on your days off. And if you don't like that, you know, you will be viciously attacked. I don't mean physically, but socially castigated, treated like shit. But this is a whole new step with the military. Now, to be dishonorably discharged, you're not going to get a big corporate job because you just wouldn't be able to put that on a job interview, job application. Any job that has any sort of security clearance is going to ask you, did you serve in the military? If yes, give us a copy of your DD-214. So for believing that you're free as an American who has freely chosen to join the service, not in a draft, but freely chosen to serve, you are told you don't have any rights and that you have to obey in order to put an experimental substance in you. And if you refuse that, then what? Well, then they can throw you in jail or dishonorably discharge you. Unfucking believable. That is this crazy ass world that we live in now, folks. This is the crazy ass world we live in. So thank you for the great super chat donation. And we've got more right here. We have Mike Adams back with $10 super chat. Oh. He says, trying this again. What do you think about Biden's purge of Trump appointees? This is going to continue. It is going to get worse. Everywhere that there's any scintilla of freedom and liberty in this country. When we're talking about Trump appointees, we're talking about Trump appointees to the federal bench, Trump appointees into bureaucracy, Trump appointees even in bureaucratic or diplomatic situations around the world. This is what they're doing, folks. This is exactly what Barack Hussein Barry Soetoro Obama did. What did he do? He got into office and he kicked all of the generals out of the Pentagon that he didn't like and said, well, they serve at my pleasure. And since I'm the president, I don't take pleasure in any conservatives being in the Pentagon. And he got rid of all of the flag grade officers he could, all the generals. Now here we go with Biden. What's he doing? He's going after anyone who's a Trump appointee. If you were appointed by Trump or you're not liberal enough, they will get rid of you. This is a complete purge. A complete purge of the bureaucratic system, of our military, folks, of the education system, of the media system, of the social media system. They're trying to purge me and you. And that's why I say, please do me a favor, do yourself a favor, and go to patreon.com. On Patreon, folks, whether or not, right, they have purged me off of YouTube and other social media sources, you can get us on Patreon, right? It's $2 a month, 7 cents a day. That's it. The more people we get over there, and you get things live, and like this is the zoo. This is Sunday Night Live. You come on here, well, Monday through Friday, we do something very similar. We do a monologue followed by a Q&A session that, because you're a member of Patreon, you can participate in gratis. You're there. So Patreon is a big deal for this network, for the voice of freedom. And I think I've been told that I am the prophet of prepping. That is, I've made a lot of predictions about the need to prep. Well, here I am, here you are, and yeah, aren't you glad you're a prepper? I love all these promos and intros, and we've got a lot more coming on this, folks. Those are all done by Mr. T, who is part of the, shall we say, Prepared Mind Network, and everyone can be part of the Prepared Mind Network. I recommend it. I want you, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And then, of course, the way we grow in this world of censorship and bullshit on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. The way we grow is through you guys hitting the share button and sharing with others. Why is this so important, folks? Why is it so important? For the very reason that I'm not allowed to talk. That should be enough. An attack on the First Amendment. Attack on the First Amendment telling us what we can and can't say. They're removing the voices of opposition, leaving only one story, theirs. Why else? Because of this attack on the Second Amendment. We just saw Congress trying to use the National Defense Authorization Act as a runaround to get around the Second Amendment to take guns from ex-military. Now, why the ex-military? Well, because we're the ones who are most capable and most trained on military equipment, on how to use firearms effectively, right? The effective casualty percentage, right, of someone who is well trained is a lot higher. In other words, they can do more damage to an enemy. So let's just say there's a government institution that has gone rogue, that acts unlawfully outside the parameters well established by the Constitution. And that government agency wants to break the law, wants to violate the rights of the people, and it should be brought back into control. The federal government apparently doesn't want us military guys to do anything about it. They want to take our guns from us. First Amendment, Second Amendment, you bet, folks, they're all over us. We got FJP13 who checks in with a $5 super chat. He says this. He says, 511 swamp water, line crossed. Your thoughts? 511 swamp water, line crossed. I don't know where you're going with this, FJP. I've got so many. And I get this all the time. People send me coded messages, and sometimes it takes a few minutes, but I'm not aware of what a 511 swamp water is. You know, I just don't know. You caught me totally and completely off guard. I've been really pissed off, though. Really pissed off over what they're doing to our military. It is frustrating me to no end. Let me read you this. I think this is pretty important. Jolene, I'm just not getting what FJP has in mind. What we've got, though, is at the Trump rally over the weekend, and President Trump did a couple of things. For the 13 service members that died because Joe Biden pulled everyone out of Afghanistan, because he created this huge humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, this irresponsible, incompetent move to abandon ship, to hand over $85 billion to do that. And it resulted in the encouragement of terrorist activity. And they blew up, killed our servicemen. Trump had that number of seats empty at his rally. And then he also did this. He let Hunter Clark, not Hunter Biden, but Hunter Clark, come up and speak. And he says, I'm the guy who pulled the baby over the wall. He says it's definitely probably one of the greatest things I've ever done. And that was when everyone was doing all they could to get out of Kabul and get into the airport and get the hell out of there. There were, folks, people from around the world who were abandoned. Military, civilians, abandoned by the Biden administration. And anyways, it was great that Lance Corporal Hunter Clark was recognized, that President Trump is still recognizing the military and acknowledging them and their importance and honoring them, whether they're dead or alive. Are we getting that out of Biden? What do we get out of Biden and the Biden administration and the Biden Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and the Biden Joint Chiefs of Staff, where General Trader Milley is in charge? What do we get out of them? What we get out of our federal administration at the White House is a hatred for anything that has to do with law and order. Law and order, folks. Just where do I go next? Let's go to Opie Waddell with a $5 super chat donation. Opie says this: wife posted a photo of sliced strawberries in a dehydrator. Zark Muckerberg removed it and labeled it extremist. They removed all her dehydrator photos because dehydrated food is risky business, apparently. So there you go, Zark Muckerberg on Facebook. You're not allowed to show dried food. Why, folks? Why don't they want us to see dried strawberries? Any berries, any meat, any food. Why? Because they know that's prepper food. They know that that's what responsible Americans do. They either can or dehydrate foods so they can store them for winter, for a rainy day, or for SHTF. And folks, we've got plenty of SHTF. Thank you very much, Opie. That is really incredible. Absolutely incredible. We got Ray Drake with a 762 super chat donation. That's awesome. 762, one of my favorite numbers. And he says, how long before we see you getting a makeup artist pre-show? I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm not doing much makeup these days, that's for sure. Are you suggesting that I need it? Nope. This is kind of interesting. Last week I was fucking exhausted, folks. Like you, we're all exposed to all of this shit, and it can wear you out. I was fucking exhausted. By the way, we're up over 820 subscribers online at this very minute. Last week I was fucking exhausted, right? And I want to get away from this SHTF stuff just for a couple of hours. That's it, right? It does take an incredible toll. But as soon as I'm off camera, I'm answering emails, I'm answering phone calls. I'm listening to people's suggestions, ideas, taking in news from around the world. All right, I've got an app that shows me terror activity around the world. I can go look at that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So actually, right, having you guys participate or have the opportunity to look and see what I'm doing when I'm not broadcasting and talking to you directly, I just don't know if I could take that. No fans only for John. In fact, I was talking to a friend about that earlier. And they're like, oh, you want to do a fans only? I'm like, not a fucking chance. Wouldn't do it. I know that Vaughn and Kaz and Uman probably would do a prepper swimsuit calendar, but I don't know if you're going to see me on there. good physique or not. We've had too many wackos out there. But speaking of wackos, let me give you these wackos. Thank you, Ray, very much for the awesome donation, man. I appreciate it. The sense of humor, everything. And folks, you've got to have a sense of humor to deal with this shit or you'll go mad, right? But here's some crazy people. At the Ryder Cup, folks, which is a golf tournament, at the Ryder Cup, American patriots began spontaneously singing the national anthem. What do you think of that? I think it's fabulous. I think it's incredible that the fans would spontaneously start singing it, right? Now, what have we been seeing, folks? We've been seeing more sporting events take a knee, cut out the national anthem. And I had a friend say that they were going to a Major League Baseball game last Friday. And as they were walking into the stadium a little bit late, the national anthem could be heard playing, and everybody stopped. Everybody turned to face where the music was coming from. Everybody stopped talking. Some put their hands over their heart. Others decided to salute because they respect the national. Folks, there's more and more people everywhere respecting the national anthem than ever before. And they're demanding it. We're seeing it and hearing it everywhere, folks, whether it's a sporting event or a gathering, right, of people, or the start of a political meeting where they used to have that, either the Pledge of Allegiance and then sporting events, national anthem. People want their country honored. All right, we got FJP, and this is what he was saying. He says, Jolene, referring to the CDC. Oof. That's what you were referring to. The CDC approval of 5 to 11-year-old children who like Kool-Aid, who can get the Kool-Aid. And he says, I have 2 young grandkids. Folks, Kool-Aid is dangerous stuff. And it's there's just no two ways about it, right? They are pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Why are they pushing it and pushing it and pushing it? Why? I personally know people now who have been sick with cerveza bug. They don't like it. They don't like it. And these people, same people that I know personally, have taken the appropriate anti-Kool-Aid. They still don't like it. Okay, me personally, I've almost died from the flu 4 times in my life. This is years ago. Years ago, I had bronchitis, pneumonia from it, been really fucked up and sick for days and days. I get it. That's the regular flu has made me think you're going to die, right? So why should we be surprised if a modern thing does the same thing? Well, we shouldn't. It's just no fun. Nobody likes it. But to say, and I saw this weekend, folks, I saw billboards that said things like, it works, it's safe, it's proven effective, right? What? Their propaganda stands, but I cannot openly speak, folks. Unbelievable. We got Lucas Bamboo with a $10 super chat donation. He says, how long till we stand up and push back? Right now is when you stand up. Right now, Lucas. Right now, stand up. Right now, push back. Text, email, message, comment on any elected politicians, elected representatives, website, office, phone number, fax, email, whatever they got, as well as bureaucrats, folks. Bureaucrats, you can get a hold of them. Whoever they are, whoever you know, whatever organization of the government then, call them and say, respect our rights. Right now, don't wait any longer, Lucas. Get used to the idea of standing up for yourself. Learn what is happening, what your opinion is. I can't tell you what your opinion is, but find out what you believe and then start talking about it. Whether you're talking about it at a protest, standing on the side of the road with a sign with other people holding signs, whether it's at the office water cooler, at a family function, at a fucking picnic in the park, or at a baseball, football, basketball game, hockey, lacrosse, water polo. I don't care where you're at. Start talking to people and tell them truth matters. And if they go, what do you mean truth matters? Tell them the fucking truth. Tell them your truth. Tell them facts matter. What do you mean by that? Communism kills people. Most people today, folks, have totally forgotten that communism has killed almost 100 million people, their own people. They just kind of forgot that little fact. Pretty important. Start speaking your truth, your facts that you dig up that matter to you. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. If you don't, who will? If someone else doesn't stick up for your rights, are you going to stick up for theirs? Right? If we start sticking up for each other, and we have examples of this in this country, folks, not only the speaking up, but telling police, like that school board meeting in Florida. It's like, nope, sorry, you are not going to be arresting anyone today. Am I suggesting you break the law, do anything dangerous, dumb, or stupid? Nope, none of those things. But advising the police what the law is, why wouldn't you? If you see a law enforcement officer violating someone's rights, why wouldn't you film it? Advise them they're making a grievous error and serve as a witness for that person who is having their rights violated. Kind of like the Nevada Republican lieutenant governor candidate who was dragged out, physically assaulted in Nye County, Nevada, for doing nothing other than trying to participate in a public forum having to do with policy. Unbelievable, folks. So Lucas comes back with another $5 super chat donation. He says this: what's the best long life storage dried food? Many of them, folks, are 20, 25, 30 years. It depends on the company. Some say, most of them say 25 years. Now, when you use the word best, I'm going to recommend you go to thepreparedmind.club and click on the Thrive Foods button. Why Thrive? Because in my opinion, it is the best with regard to how long you can store it. It's as long as anyone else's, but it's the best tasting. If you've got the money and you can afford it, I recommend getting Thrive. They have actual meat in their products, actual freeze-dried meat that tastes good, whether it's beef, pork, chicken. It's real meat. It's not plant protein, meat flavored plant protein, which is soy. It's not fake meat. It's real meat. All right. Crazy Uncle's in here with a $5 super chat donation, and thank you, everyone. Folks, we're at 925 viewers right now, live. We've been on for 45 minutes. President Xi Biden comes on for 5 minutes, can't get 500 people, and most of those that do show up are there to give him a thumbs down and an arm up. All right, so we got Crazy Uncle. He says, one of the easiest preps anyone can do is store seeds. Keep them sealed in plastic and place in the fridge. Could fast become more valuable than bullets. Okay, meaning it could quickly become very, very valuable. Yes, seeds. I recommend getting heritage seeds. It's not GMO. Heritage seeds are not GMO. Heritage seeds are not hybridized. In other words, the odds of you getting the same exact fruit or vegetable from them is a lot higher. Another thing I'm going to recommend is if you start gardening and you find particular fruits or vegetables that you harvest to be of high quality, harvest those seeds out of those vegetables, like tomato. Tomatoes full of seeds. Get a nice tomato that you like its size, shape, and flavor. Harvest those seeds and save them. And then, yes, dry them. Don't put them in an oven and bake them, but just dry them out and then keep them stored in paper, plastic bag. See-through plastic bag, and keep them cool I don't know if you have to refrigerate them, but I would recommend it. And they do need to be dry. Otherwise, they could mold and become affected that way. But I don't, is it more valuable than bullets? Well, I'll tell you what. If there's a shortage of seeds and there's lots of bullets, then yeah, they're going to become more valuable than bullets. If there's lots of seeds and no bullets, then bullets will be more valuable. It depends, I think, on where you're at in the country. There's going to be areas in the country, sadly, when we go Mad Max here and Mad Max there, it's going to be areas where people are going to be out of anything or everything at once. People are going to be out of toilet paper. People are going to be out of rice. People are going to be out of bullets. People are going to be out of beans. That's why being a prepper is so critical. We don't know what the stores are going to run out of first. Start getting some ideas, and I have a funny feeling one of them is going to be meat, actual meat. I recommend to people that if you're going to get long-term food storage, also get fresh meat, freeze it. And if the power goes out and that meat thaws, then you dry it. Slice it thin, dry it in the sun or in an oven of some sort. Get all the moisture out of it so it's preserved. Otherwise, it'll go bad. We got Here and Now 27 with a $5 super sticker. Thank you, Here and Now, for that. Folks, all these super chat donations, stickers, Facebook, not Facebook, shit. Yeah, Facebook. They love us. PayPal. We've got all kinds of ways, and they're up there that you can donate to the cause here. And your donations keep us going, right? Like Bernard Shreve Jr. here with an awesome $10 super chat donation. He says, I have a topic for you, John. As experienced and skilled prepper, nobody has covered this topic. Being enslaved for your skills by other ill-moralized people. You are correct, sir. I have not covered this, so this is brilliant of you. We've talked about how people like Katie Couric, cute little satanic Katie. And by satanic, I mean adversarial, because that's really what the word means. She is an adversary of a certain class of people. And that class of people are those that she disagrees with politically. And she wants to take you and me and put us in a camp. Isn't that nice, a little Katie Couric? Well, there are not only other celebrities like Katie Couric, but there's academics, politicians, lawyers, business professionals, and scumbags around the country that have the same opinion, that you and I should be locked up in a camp. Now, what did the Nazis do with people in camps? What did the Chinese did and do? They still do this, folks. The Chinese are still doing this. They're still being accused of it. They're still guilty of it. Putting people in work camps and making them work as slaves. It's called slave labor. They put people in camps and make them work. And the state or the government keeps the money, or the corporation that runs it keeps the money. So Bernard Shreve is saying, hey, look, as an experienced and skilled prepper, they put you in a camp because Katie Couric says it's a great idea, because Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, 90 Proof Nancy, they don't think it's a great fucking idea to have camps, deprogramming camps, re-education camps, but you have a skill. So like the Jews and others who in World War II were thrown in camps by the Nazis, anyone that the Nazis didn't like, they would put your skills to use. What is it, if you're a prepper and you're in a camp, that they would have you do? Whatever skill you have, but certainly a prepper skill. If there's problems in this country, folks, with supply chain questions, food would be one of the big ones. That is forcing you to become farm labor. That is, grow as much food as you can. That's right, folks. They're going to turn us either into their food by eating us as cannibals. I wouldn't put it past them. Look at all those sick little parties that the entertainment political left held, where Maria Abramovic, the witch, had mock cannibal feasts. Yeah, they'll either eat you, so you better be good at planting a garden and making sure they get plenty of non-meat products to keep them full. But yeah, being a slave for your skills. The executive orders that are out there already in place say the government has the right, the president in an emergency situation, to having you rounded up, you sequestered away, your farm, your equipment, your fuel, whatever resource you have, including your very own body, the government can take possession of and ownership for its benefit to ensure the continuity of government exists. Look out, folks. We got Ray Drake with a 762 donation. And he says, John, I bought some of your first t-shirts that were Prepared Mind on front and Bunny Lovin' Snowflakes on reverse. Where can I get more? They get comment. Oh, yeah. Perhaps Jolene can answer you directly, but we used to have merchandise right on YouTube. Cups, t-shirts, etc. I believe we still have them on the thepreparedmind.club. And I do wear my own shirts out in public, which is quite funny. The looks people give me. They look at me and then they look at the round emblem on the shirt. And they go, are you wearing a shirt with your own face on it? I go, yeah, pretty ballsy, huh? And they laugh. Now I have the No Bunny Lovin' Tree Huggers Allowed preparedmind.club. I've got that where it says that on the back. And the other one that I have is I believe in free choice. And on the back, it shows it's a bunch of silhouettes of many different firearms. And I've had people yell at me from their automobile when they see that one. Like stopped at a stoplight. I was sitting on a two-wheeled conveyance and someone saw that, and they people love those. They love them. They love commenting on them. Because that's what America is starting to do. They're starting to pick sides. They're wanting to look around and say, who thinks like me? Who talks like me? So if you're not thinking, you're kind of in that crowd, right? If you're not talking, if people don't know what you're about, what you believe, they don't know whose side you're on. Now, arguably, other people knowing that you are a patriot and a constitutionalist, if they don't like patriots and constitutionalists, they're going to hate you, right? But if they love patriots and constitutionalists, they're going to like you. It's already a like or hate world. It's just people won't proclaim it. Leftists do. When they outnumber people who are patriots, they come right out and say, yeah, we need you locked in a camp. We need to kill you people. Oh, there's stories out there, folks. There's stories where these people in the media are going nuts and they want us dead. They want us dead. I've got all kinds of stuff here from Mr. Skylight. I've got stuff from Mr. Lord. I've got stuff from everybody, folks. Information everywhere on what's going on. It's just unbelievable. Let's do this. We got Sherry Penov checks in as a YouTube member. Welcome to the YouTube club. We're right at 1,000 people live right now. Thank you, Sherry. Patty Prepper checks in with a $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, Patty Prepper. It's really awesome, right? I'm the Prepared Mind. Jolene, who's the moderator behind the scenes, she's the Prepared Mother. We've got, folks, people who are proud to be preparing, people who are proud to be patriots, people who are proud to be Americans. They're standing up and they're saying it now. We're choosing sides. The country's being divided by the left, folks. They divide and put us in a separate group. Us, me, you, us. And then they want to what? Well, they want to divide us off. They want to dehumanize us so that they can then justify destroying us. Red Pill Files checks in with a 556 super chat donation. He says, hi, John. Uh-oh. In Australia, which is the prototype for the rest of the world, yes, I think it is. Police are beating citizens for not wearing a mask, and they're shooting them with rubber bullets. That is true. That is true. I've got the article right here in front of me. Been waiting to say it. Waiting to say it. Australia is as heavy-handed Nazi as World War II, pre-World War II Nazi Germany. All over the country, the police are beating people. Last week, we have video of Australian police pushing an old woman, an elderly woman, folks. I don't mean, when I say old, I don't mean 40. I'm not talking MILF. I'm talking elderly. Pushed her down, smashed her. She broke her hip, and then he sprayed her in the face with mace. There's only one way to stop that. There's only one way to stop that, folks. When cops, government that is. See, it's really not police that are doing this. It's government. This invisible thing. We know that's a government building and that's a government building, and people go in and out of these government buildings all over the country. But you can't go in there and talk to the government. No, there's representatives. There are bureaucrats everywhere. And the bureaucrats say, well, that's not my department. Or the answer is no. That's what they like to do. That's not my department, or the answer is no. They don't want to be held responsible. They don't want to make your life easy. Now, police are law enforcement for the government. If the police violate your rights, you have a hard time proving it. You have a hard time doing anything about it because they're government agents. Now, when you start seeing police violating the rights of people, what should you do? I'm not asking what will you do. I'm saying what should you do? Right? I've heard people say, well, you know, if I see a government agent, whatever government agent we're talking about, doing something illegal, I'm going to take action. Right? What do you think you should do if you see 8 people manhandling one person, 4 people manhandling one person, 1 cop manhandling one person? What should you do, knowing that that person's rights are being violated and this cop is out of order? In Australia, folks, it's getting stupid. They are the prototype for the neo-Nazi, neo-feudalist New World Order system. And it is horrific what's going on. And the people are starting to fight back. First, people start with protest. The next step is people refuse to comply. In Australia, people are going to the beach. They're told not to. They're not wearing their masks. They've been told you wear your masks. They've been told to disperse and they refuse. In some cases, the police show up. In other cases, they don't. But people protest and then they refuse to comply, and then comes the violence. This is now what we're seeing in Australia. The scenes of violence where people are being treated like criminals for refusing to obey a government that is not using science or law. Folks, it's not about the science. It's supposed to be about the law. Capital L, capital A, capital W, law. Not some edict, not some mandate, not some fucking government bureaucrat demand. It's going to get a lot uglier, folks. It has just begun. We're seeing, right? We're seeing it. It's here. They want to bring it to America. They want to bring it to England, Ireland, Scotland. They want to bring it to France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Portugal. They want to bring it to all countries, folks. This heavy-handed, authoritarian, unconstitutional misapplication of justice. They're going to do it, folks. Get ready. We got Patty Prepper is a YouTube member. Thanks, Jolene. We got that. We're at the 1 hour mark, folks. The 1 hour mark, and I want to let you know we've got some great prepper products. If you would, Jolene, pull down Casey, because I want people to see this, folks. We've got some great prepper products coming out, and they're a whole lot of fun. A whole lot of fun and very effective.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Thank you very much. Okay, Jolene, let's get back to the questions. I just figured I'd put in a little Parody shampoo commercial for you at the 1 hour mark. We got Casey Lowry with a $5 super chat donation. Says this: I've been freeze drying for about 2 years now. I think it's one of the best ways to store food. It is. We sell some incredible freeze dryers, food prep equipment at thepreparedmind.club, CLUB. I don't care where you buy it, folks. I don't care where you buy anything. Thepreparedmind.club is our store. Profits go to supporting our efforts here to keep the lights on, to keep us fed, to keep the internet paid for, to keep the store open, all those things. If you don't want to buy it from us, I don't give a shit. If you want to go somewhere because whatever, you think they've got a better selection, a better product, a better price, I don't care. I just want to make sure people know to go get this stuff. And freeze drying is an absolute fabulous way to store food. Additionally, I think it's a great way to prepare food. When I was at the RMZ, I took a great deal of freeze-dried food with me that I survived on. Some of it was Thrive food, which I took with me, and I lived on exclusively for weeks, folks. For weeks, I lived exclusively on that stuff. It was a good deal. Tasted good, worked good. And another thing I want to recommend, in addition to either freeze drying or sun drying or dehydrating or canning, is make sure you have a lot of spices. You can get numerous meat rubs that you rub on meat, right, to cook it or to preserve it. You know, that's just Southwest style, Cajun style, Northeast. Get spices for all meat and all foods, folks. You got Mexican, Italian, Chinese, all your spices. Southeast Asian spices are incredible. If things get really bad and you end up having to dig into this stuff, would you rather eat a bowl of steamed rice, or would you rather eat a bowl of steamed rice with spices in it to make it taste like something? It's a big difference, folks. There's so much psychology to food. There's so much psychology to food. If you know you're going to eat crappy, bland food and you have to do it, it's just not as good as if it tastes really good. It matters. Now we got Prepper Book Club checks in with a 556 super chat donation. And Prepper Book Club, if you've got a website, I would love to see it out there. If you would, send it to Uman. Uman has the rsyndicate.com, folks. The rsyndicate.com is a big, big deal. And why? Because at the rsyndicate.com, which is run by Uman, you've got every prepper site out there, all of their different channels or social media circles, and he keeps them there so that if I disappear, you can go to the R Syndicate and find out where I'm at now. We've got actually 4, folks, 4 Prepared Mind YouTube channels. We've got the Prepared Mind BC, which stands for Backup. We've got John the Prepared Mind and Prepared Mind John. We've got 4 channels to make sure that we can broadcast. They could kill them all at once, who knows? But if you go to the R Syndicate, you would see all of those. If you check the description down below, you should see all 4 links. And I recommend subscribing to them all, because if I disappear on one channel, I'll start broadcasting on the other. And you're going to want to be subscribed and get the notifications from them. All right, so Prepper Book Club says this. He says, si vis pacem parabellum. Prep it up, stack it to the rafters. You bet, folks. Prepper Book Club, I really hope you have a nice selection of books. We used to carry books, folks, when the Prepared Mind had an Amazon store. But Amazon decided they didn't like us doing what we do and selling what we sold. And so they not only canceled us, but they canceled us forever. And that is how they roll. So we got Chris Crowell in the house. He's become a YouTube member. So we have this also now, folks, the YouTube membership. And we're still right at 1,000 people live right now. We're at 1 hour and 5 minutes, and we are live. That many people, folks, learning, sharing, etc. And I recommend right now, hit the share button and send a link of this video to someone else and say, this is live. This is what we're doing right now. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about, folks, we're talking about what is coming to an American city near you. What is coming to an American city near you, folks? Well, a woman was assaulted by 3 Afghan immigrants in a parking lot at Fort Bliss this weekend. That's right. If you're an American woman, one of these international dipshits who's been brought here by the Biden administration could do a number of things. They could insult you. They could threaten you. They could assault you, beat the shit out of you, rape you, or kill you. And they don't give a fuck. Folks, we have enormous numbers of Mexican nationals and Central American nationals who are coming into America unchecked. We have Afghans coming here from a part of the world that doesn't have a clue about what America is, much less the culture, our belief system, our rules, etc. Oh, by the way, this woman I'm talking about was a female soldier, meaning she's wearing a fucking uniform, and they still assaulted her. It still took 3 Afghan men to assault her. They're sexually assaulting underage women. They don't care, folks. Oh, what about these Haitians? Well, you know, Haiti's pretty close to the United States of America. No, they are assaulting airline pilots. They are assaulting federal agents. They're assaulting bus drivers. They're stealing buses. They're doing everything they can to get in America and hide. What do you think? They don't have family up here. They don't have cars. They don't have money unless they're given cards by the government, which means they're going to lie, cheat, and steal to get everything that they need to survive. That's what they're used to doing in Haiti, folks. That's what they're used to doing in other third world shitholes where these people come from. They're used to taking advantage of any person they can. That's how they get by. Screwing the next person over to screw them out of something they have or to get something they want. This is coming, folks, to a city near you. We got, this is a good one. Taurusaurus with a $49.99 super chat donation. Thank you, Taurusaurus 1. I really do enjoy clever YouTube pseudonyms names. Good stuff there, and that's a great donation. That goes, every dollar goes a long way to taking care of what we do here. Now, we're going to move on. While we're waiting, we do have another one. Too quick. Too quick. BMW 9mm did a $5 super chat donation, and this is what he says. Big Marge, he's talking about Representative Marge Taylor Greene out of the great state of Georgia. Big Marge spoke before the Trump rally. She was giving away a Barrett 50 caliber. That's a rifle, folks. Says, just sign up. She shot a Toyota Prius at 365 yards, full of tannerite. Big bang. I wish I could have seen that. I have not seen that. I know that Big Marge has been in the news. Yes, she has. She's been in the news. Let me give it to you. And folks, to get a Barrett, that's some crazy stuff. But Big Marge went after a scumbag Democrat who was playing a bunch of they're disgusting people. The Democrats are absolutely filthy, disgusting people. And Big Marge got into a shouting match with Democrat scumbag Debbie Dingell on the U.S. Capitol steps, right? And Big Marge told them they should be ashamed of themselves. And I can tell you why. You want to hear why? Oh, I know you want to hear why. Because the Democrats have passed in the House a radical abortion without limits bill. And Pelosi was there cheering it, folks. What does this bill do? Now, again, it's got to go, it's from the House to the Senate, and then they've got to agree, both of them agree on the same legislation, and then it goes to Joe Biden. But what this radical abortion bill that they're cheering about, it legalizes partial birth abortion, which means the baby comes through the birth canal and is killed before it's fully birthed. This bill allows for the dismembering of babies, and it lifts all restrictions on abortions. Now, remember our good buddy, Dr. Doom. They were using aborted fetuses, parts of them, and growing them on top of lab rats to see what they could do as far as growing baby parts. These people are fucking sick. Absolutely sick. Nancy is supposed to be a Catholic, folks. What Catholic have you ever heard of that agrees that a baby should enter the world and then be killed? It's disgusting, beyond disgusting. Yet here we are. This is what they do. This is what they want. Joe Biden is supposed to be a Catholic, and he is completely all for this type of shit, folks. So Big Marge went after him. Big Marge, right, went after them, called them what they are. I wish she could have done more. I wish, folks, that Big Marge could get out there and challenge him to like a cage match. I wish we could all challenge them to cage matches and that they would have to take it up and go wrestle with us. I don't think that they would like what people would want to do to them for what they support, sponsor, and pay for doing to defenseless babies. Just disgusting people. Crazy Uncle's back with a $5 super chat donation. And folks, this whole thing, shitting the fan, is not about abortions. Shitting the fan is not about growing food. Shitting the fan is not about Democrat politics being communist. It's not about the military being screwed up. It's not about what's happening in China. SHTF is not about any one thing. It's about all of these things. This entire world that has been turned upside down. Now, this weekend, folks, I unplugged for a couple hours. This weekend, I got away from it to center myself, to relax. And it was like heaven for me. It was like paradise, just to get away and forget it just for a couple of hours. And I remembered, this is what life used to be like. This is what life used to be all about. Being free from just this filth out here. Right? But now it is all pervasive. That's why it is shit hitting the fan. When government says there's an emergency, which clearly you can't see, but they have rules in place to start affecting your behavior, your business, your town, your money. They want to, folks. They want to have private coinage, private tokens called central bank digital currency, CBCD. CBDC, central bank digital currency, so that they can say, well, if you want to buy stuff and use our tokens, our cryptos, you have to behave. You have to talk nice, think nice, be obedient, go to the right meetings, know the right people, kiss the right asses, or you won't be given these coins, or you won't be able to spend them. The government, folks, the United States federal government is required by the Constitution to print or coin money. Folks, that's what they're required to do. You know, that whole thing about it being legal tender for use in all debts, public and private, it must be accepted. It must be accepted. Well, if they remove all the money and there is none, then the government, the federal government, is what? They're once again guilty of dereliction of duty to the disadvantage and harm of the American people, and saying, well, we're using this digital currency that the banks have created as a substitute. Well, that's not good for all debts, public and private. That is not controlled by the government. It's controlled by a bank, because it's really not money. well, we're in big fucking trouble. Crazy Uncle is back, and he says, however many personnel you are prepping for, you are most likely wrong. I can guarantee additional family showing up, so be ready. Food, hygiene, water. This is a great point. This is one of the first topics I covered. This channel, folks, if you're not aware, has been around since 2013, talking about getting prepared for when shit hits the fan. And now shit has hit the fan. It's been well over a year, folks. And people are now seeing the benefit of having the preps. Well, I got food, I got water, I got shelter, I got clothes. They got all these things stored up. And they're like, well, good thing I had that stuff. And I say, aren't you glad you're a prepper? Because you're already prepared. Now, a lot of newer people are coming in and they're saying, oh shit, I better get prepared. How do I do it? So here we are, right? The topic that we covered way back then was, I'm coming to your house when shit hits the fan, because that was the joke back then. Preppers were less common. And also, there was a belief, right, that nothing was going to happen. But if it did, if anything bad ever happened, then you just go to the nearest family member that you know is a prepper. So Uncle John, hey man, I'm coming to your house when shit hits the fan. That was the comment. And the response was, if I've told you to get prepared and you did not, I don't care who you are, I don't care how much I love you, I am not going to kill myself in order to feed your dumb ass, because you're too fucking lazy, too much of an arrogant prick, too stupid to take care of yourself, right? But yeah, there's going to be people, folks, they show up at your house, they knock on the fucking door, you're going to answer it, they're going to invite themselves in, they're going to beg, plead, oh, I'm sorry I ever doubted you. They're going to kiss your ass, they're going to tell you how fucking smart you are, that they're on your side, they'll do anything that you say, just make sure they get some food. Oh, you bet. And there's going to be a lot of us that go, yeah, you know, hey, cousin Willie, come on in, man. You know I love you. I can't fucking leave you out there to die. So yeah, if you think you need food for 1 year for 4 people, it's probably the number is going to be a lot more like 8 or 12. But what happens when the food runs out? What happens? What happens if cousin Willie shows up at your door and you're like, hey, cousin Willie, you're a fucking day late and $1 short. I had all my food. Someone showed up with a group and a bunch of guns and took all my fucking food. Where were you 2 days ago when I needed you here with a gun pointing the other direction to keep these people away? How many people are going to be victimized, folks, by others in their neighborhood, by their city council who sends goon squads around to collect food? That's why I keep all my shit, folks, buried in another bunker, just like this one, that no one knows where it's at, right? If you look in here, you see living quarters. You don't see big stacks of food, do you? Cans of this and cans of that. You don't see it. You're not going to see it on camera. It's somewhere else completely. Somewhere else completely. Bernard Trade Jr. is back with a $5 super chat donation. He says, a book for the club may be useful. Chinese Tactics ATP 7-100.3, August of 2021, called Enlarged Drawings Military Field Manual. Well, you can still get stuff at Amazon. I'm sure of it. I prefer either U.S. Army or U.S. Marines field manuals, FM's field manuals. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think and recommend that you get books on self-defense tactics, how to draw up self-defense plans, how to plan, folks, planning, right? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Understand where you live, how to defend it. Understand where you live, how to take advantage of natural resources in your area. But if you can't defend your place, if you don't have the tools of self-defense, you're going to be in a lot riskier of a position. Now, let's just say there is a street, a residential street, and there's 4 preppers there, and none of them have self-defense knowledge. None of them have self-defense tools, self-defense schools, training, anything. Well, the fifth neighbor who has all of those things probably be willing to help you, right? Because he's going to want to defend himself as well. So that's what prepper groups are all about, is going, well, I'm good at this, you're good at that, let's work together. We're also going to have this element of communist infiltration in these groups and neighborhoods, where one person or more, folks, is going to be a stinking, smelly, fucked up communist. And they're going to rat you out. They're going to rat out the group, rat out the street, rat everyone out. It's coming, folks. Every imaginable fuck up is coming. From people not being able to do anything to protect themselves, to being overrun by marauders, communists, government agents, what have you. It's all going to happen, folks, up to and including cannibalism. Because the United States government in Washington, D.C. is not stopping. They're not backing off. All right, we got from PayPal. Looks like we got Robert Wilson checking in. And he says, don't women have to consent to partial birth abortion, whether it's legal or not? What kind of woman would do that? I cannot tell you what kind of woman would or would not do that, Robert. I can just tell you I don't want anything to do with any woman who thinks any part of that is a good idea, is moral or decent. Now, with regard to whether or not a woman has to consent to it, there are a lot of things that are happening now in our country that doctors are doing that they don't have to give you consent over, including, folks, people are now complaining of being jabbed with the Jim Jones juice when they didn't sign up to be jabbed for the Jim Jones juice. And what are they being told? Sorry. Folks, we're up to 1,100. That's 1,100 people live right now. That means what I said a few minutes ago mattered. I said, hey, you should hit the share button and share this information with someone else that we're on here live right now talking about shit hitting the fan, what is going on. And we got another 100 people checked in. Do that again. Send it out. Send out this link. We are live talking about shit hitting the fan. Right now we're talking about medicine. What else are doctors doing without your permission, without your knowledge, without your consent? They're performing sex change operations on kids. They just legalized it in California. Or abortions just legalized in California can be completely kept secret from parents. Children, folks, anyone under 18 is not a legal adult. They are a minor, and they are essentially owned by their parents. The parents are legally obligated and have the legal right to raising their children, and no decision can be made on those kids' behalf that isn't also approved by the parent. What are doctors doing, folks? They are lying to people right now. They are manufacturing, they are manipulating information in order to trick people into believing the government propaganda regarding cerveza bug and how to deal with it. Doctors are completely ruining all credibility they had. Shit hitting the fan, it is off the hook. Is it Mad Max in the streets? Not yet. Are they pushing for it? Fucking A, they're pushing for it, folks. They're absolutely pushing for it. We got North Shore Preparedness. Once again, another prepper name here. But it's Canada, up in Canada with a $5 super chat Canadian donation. Says the legislature already on the desk of Saskatchewan Premier to turn the province the same as Australia. Be ready, folks. It's on this continent. Thank you very much, North Shore Preparedness. Now, folks, Australia, the United States, Canada, and England are all common law-based systems. The entire Anglo-American common law system of there's God who created man and said, these are your rights. And man said, thanks, God, we'll now create a government to serve us. But the government kind of leapfrogged back over and says, no, we own you. I don't think so. I don't think so, but they do think so, folks. And that's why we're seeing cops beating the fuck out of people in Australia. And now we're hearing from North Shore Preparedness that in Saskatchewan, their premier, which is the president, or governor of that province is like, yep, we're adopting the Australian rules. Really? The Australian rules of beat the ever-loving shit out of people, kick old women down, break their fucking hips, and spray chemicals in their lungs? Folks, we're told that one of the most horrible things about cerveza bug is it stops your ability to breathe by taking away, right, lung capacity. What do you think spraying chemical agents in someone's face does to them? It makes it harder for them to breathe. So people typically panic and run away from like a riot situation. But they're doing that to old women. They're doing it to children. They're doing it to young women. They're doing it to men. They're doing it to everybody. Conflict is coming. Stephen Glenn checks in with a $5 super chat donation. He says, military tribunals soon. Only they can address the corruption. Semper Fi to the Constitution, always. Appreciate the excellent commentary. Stephen, thank you very much for the donation. Thank you for your commentary. And I'm going to tell you, there really is only one way to address this corruption from within the government. And you are right. It would require the military saying that the government is acting outside of its scope of duty, its scope of authority. It's exceeding its scope of authority. And someone in the government somewhere needs to hold the government accountable for what the government is failing to do and is unconstitutionally doing. Can the military do this? Yes, it could. Folks, at this point, anything can happen. The federal government could declare the Constitution suspended. Who's going to do any different? Who's going to say anything? Who's going to stop them? Who the fuck can stop the federal government from saying, all of the governors, you no longer are authoritative. We're going to put in our own appointed bureaucrats. So Governor Abbott in Texas, you're gone. Governor DeSantis in Florida, you're gone. We're going to install our own governors to carry forward from this point on all federal mandates. Or we're going to break the country into the 10 Federal Emergency Management Agency, the FEMA districts, 10 districts. So states will be combined and clumped together based on geographic location. And they're going to manage the country that way because, you know, it's an emergency. Who can stop them? I can't stop them. Can you stop them? We, the people, right, are not allowed to be organized. We're not allowed to talk about things that are dangerous, like protecting our Constitution. But the military could. Will they? There is right now a huge schism in the military. The military, half of it thinks that we should be communist. The other half says, I didn't swear an oath to communism. I swore an oath to the Constitution. It's going to get messy. Orlando checks in with a $10 super chat donation and says, super sticker. Thank you very much, Orlando. Appreciate the support here. And we do need everyone's support at this channel to keep getting this information out. Like I said, every day I get fucking buried with this stuff, folks. Buried. I sit around people I know and I just look at this, right? Look at all this fucking emails. It's an incredible workload. And you guys make it happen. You support it. You keep the machine going, the gears turning, lights on, etc. Thank you. So now we got this from Orlando. He says, can you comment on the mom who confronted the school board after her son brought home a sexually explicit book from the school library? I will comment on this book. There are many books, so I'm going to comment on the one I am familiar with that is absolutely appalling and disgusting. Folks, I remember decades ago when they said, well, we need to have these books called to address, you know, our changing social construct. It was called Heather Has Two Mommies. And people back then were outraged. They're like, why do we need that? That's not common. That's not what America is. Why are we going to acknowledge something that is not normal, making it abnormal? Well, now they're trying to tell us that is normal, and being heteronormative is ugly. So I'm ugly because I think men should pair bond with women, that they should come together, that they should form a monogamous union. You know, that's normal. If you're doing something other than that, I'm not saying you're evil. I'm just saying you're different. But to put this stuff in front of children, now we're talking about some evil shit. Now, this one mom, her son got a book, and it talked about two men or two boys who decided that they were going to suck on each other. And I don't want to be any more explicit than that. That is in a book being made available to children in school. They're teaching this, folks. They're teaching these ideas as if they're good, as if they are wholesome. It's fucking disgusting what they're doing. I believe that in this school district, I think it was the mayor or the head of the county council told the school district that every last one of them needed to retire or resign, or they were going to press charges on them. We've got a lot of problems, folks, and parents are fighting back. And this is the key part, is parents are getting involved with their kids and asking them what the fuck is going on. And then going to the school boards and saying, why are you teaching this LGB crap? This is filth. It's porn. It's sick. Why are you teaching critical race theory? It is wrong. It is a lie. It is anti-American. It's communist, and it's sick. All of this alternative shit is sick. But they want to say that I'm fake news. They want to say that me talking about the goodness of America, the American flag or Constitution, you know, law and order, justice, equal opportunity, equal justice. That's wrong. We need equity now, which is fairness. Look out, folks. Now we got Taurus. Taurusaurus again is back with a $19.99 super chat donation. Pow! Thank you, Taurusaurus. We've got our hands full in this country, folks. We're well up over 1,100 subscribers or viewers right now live. If you're not a subscriber to The Prepared Mind, click subscribe and click that bell over there. It's an alert bell. So when a new video comes up, you'll be alerted to it. And we put out videos every day, folks. This is a 7-day-a-week enterprise. Now, if you're on Patreon, it's even better. On Patreon, you get 2 videos every day. You get Monday through Friday. You can participate in the question and answer. No extra charge. Right? It's part of the service. You get every news article that I come across that I want to talk about. Whether I talk about them or not, Jolene prints them. We have videos, interviews of information I can't share on YouTube, but they are on Patreon about medical issues. Serious medical issues. On Patreon, it's fair game. And then you get the worldwide weekly wrap-up, uncensored, every Saturday. And you have the distinction of being a member of the Prepared Mind Network by being on Patreon. All righty, folks. Here we are. We're at 90 minutes plus. This is your show. What do you guys want to talk about? What I want to talk about is coming to a city near you. What is it that your Democrat government has in mind for you? It's my opinion that they have some things in mind for you that have nothing to do with the United States of America. They want the Taliban version of law and order. That's one, I bet that is, folks, because witnesses are reporting that over there in Afghanistan, that the Taliban is hanging people from cranes in Herat City, Afghanistan. That's what they want here, folks. They have been trying to. The radical, anti-American people like Ilhan Omar, they want Sharia law in this country. There's no room in our country for Sharia law. There's no room for anything other than the Constitution. And there's not just one Constitution, folks. Did you know that in the United States of America, there are 51 constitutions? We have the national constitution, or the United States Constitution, as it's now known. And then every single state, all 50 of them, have their own constitutions that basically say the same thing. They have a First Amendment, they have a Second Amendment. They have a protection from unreasonable searches and seizures. They have protection from torture, right? There are 50 United States. There are 50 individual countries called states. They are sovereign. Right now in Arizona, they are starting the battle over their sovereignty with the federal government. Texas is doing the same thing. All states, folks, that wish to be free are going to run into trouble with the United States government. And the United States government, folks, is not a government for the 50 states. In fact, the 50 states no longer have a fucking say over the government. Did you know that the House of Representatives used to represent the people, and that the state governments, the states themselves, would choose their senators, so that the states and states' rights, state sovereignty, had a voice in the government? Most people don't have a fucking clue that not so long ago, folks, that they did a constitutional amendment and changed it so the people vote for not only their House of Representatives members, but also the senators. They didn't believe that the state government should elect its own senators, but that the people themselves should. And so now states no longer have representation. States' rights are not represented in our government. They have fundamentally changed, folks, our country. And they've been doing it for a long, long time. We got Ray Drake checking in with a 25-06. Folks, 25.06 is the caliber of a very ballistically coefficient round. I like the 25-06. That's a great round, 25 caliber in a very large cartucci. He says, thanks for all you do, John. California still misses you. I tell you what, Ray, it does, man. I miss California. You know, I miss all of the communism. I miss all of the homeless people on the streets. I miss all the taxation. I don't miss any of the bad stuff, folks. I don't miss Sacramento. I don't miss all those liberal fucks that think they own you and your property and everything else. But California used to be a beautiful state to work in, to have a business. It's a great land of opportunity. California is an amazing state, whether you're talking about the coastal regions down south that are warm and sunny, or the rainforests of Northern California on the coast. They have the mountains, the valleys. It's a huge agricultural state, fucking huge, California, the amount of food that's produced there. Deserts, high mountains, just beautiful, beautiful vistas. If you drive up the valley, it's hard to see, but if you take Highway 395 up the backside of the Sierra Nevadas, just you get incredible firsthand views of the Sierra Nevadas, the Ritter Range, just all kinds of stuff. Anyways, the point is that California is a beautiful place that's been fucking destroyed by communism. Absolutely destroyed. They chased me away. And they had been trying for years, and finally it was just time to go. Finally, it was time for me to go, and I went and I left. Screw them. There's nothing, communism has nothing for me, folks. All communism does is take from me, and it'll take from you. It'll take from all of us, including your will and desire to live. People in a communist system, folks, commit suicide in incredible numbers because it is a hopeless system. It is full of despair. There is no chance to better yourself in communism because the harder you work, it benefits you not. It goes to someone else. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. They're destroying the world, all that they can. All right. We've got Cassandra checks in and with a PayPal donation and says, In June, the Supreme Court ruled that you could not patent natural DNA. However, other types of DNA, genetically modified, could be patented and is not considered human and doesn't have basic human rights. That is why there is such a great push to get the Jim Jones juice. And how can that ruling affect the elderly and their wealth if they're considered transhumans? Those are great questions. My belief is that if they wanted to try and claim that John is no longer human, how would they go about proving that? Well, they could say, well, we gave John some Jim Jones juice and that changes. Well, I would say, so you've changed every single cell inside of this body. What if my body is 50-50, half me and half of this other shit? You know, see, I really do believe that they're going to claim that you're not human anymore. Well, whether or not you took the Jim Jones juice, you've gotten enough of these manufactured spike proteins that you're no longer your own being. It's a fucking lie, folks. It's all lies. The same way they go, well, you know, I had my crop planted over here, and your crop was genetically modified organisms, and the shit from your field blew into my field and changed the genetics of my crops. And at first, folks, the GMO people were suing these other people saying they stole their genetics. And then these people over here started suing them saying, your shit infected ours. Right? Anyone who comes up and says, your DNA, John, has been changed and now we own you, I'm going to say, this soul that's in me, this John person, does not recognize your DNA, yet you're claiming it's in me. Well, that means you have invaded my body. You are an invasive species trying to steal my body. You therefore have trespassed. You have injured. You have caused damage. And all those things can be handled, folks, in a civil court action over tort and injury. There needs to be an awful lot of injury lawsuits, folks. There needs to be. All right. We got another one from Cassandra here. Another donation. It says, my friend says that things are going to lock down possibly starting next month. And then into February, people are going to lose their minds. They're going to lose their shit. And they're probably going to start losing their heads. That's coming, folks. I mean, you don't have to be a Vedic astrologer to see this coming. You don't have to be the prophet of prepping to see this coming. All you have to do is be a thinking human being. Look at human history. Look at where we're at today, and you'll see where we're going to be tomorrow. And that's really what I spend a lot of time doing, folks, is thinking in terms of human behavior, human psychology, history, natural law, natural philosophy, and applying it to what is going on to see where we're heading. Thank you very much for the great donation to Cassandra. And yeah, people are going to lose their shit and they're going to lose their heads. We have a lot coming that no one is going to be happy about. These people claim that they're our superiors. I don't think so. All right, we got Jenny Jen. We got JJ checking in with a $19.99 super chat donation. Thank you as usual, Jen. And she writes, just checking in, Semper Fi, brother. I tell you what, little sister, got a shitstorm back there. Be sure that you're prepared. And I know you are. And I know you've got a lot of family around you and a lot of friends. Make sure they start preparing. What I am seeing, though, or rather, what I am hearing about in many rural areas around the country, whether we're talking Northern California or Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, whether we're talking about some southern states, but it's usually rural areas. We're now seeing store shelves showing less and less. Less food, fewer supplies, I'm getting reports from around the nation from mechanics, auto mechanics. And what are they saying? Auto mechanics are saying, hey, I can't get parts, simple parts for general automotive repair. What are these parts, folks? A friend of mine let me know. He goes, hey, my mechanic is looking for spark plug number 8. And I'm thinking, spark plug number 8? You mean they're not all the same? No, they could only find 7 fucking spark plugs. They need 8. It's a V8 motor. It's got 8 cylinders. They need 8 spark plugs. And they're having these mechanics. You used to, as a mechanic, folks, call your auto supply parts in-house. Now, the little town I was in Northern California, had 1, 2, 3, 4 auto parts stores, all within 1 mile of each other. Was it 4? AutoZone, Napa, a private company, and then O'Reilly's. But you would call your first store and they would ship you the part. If they didn't have it, you could call the second one. You can call the third one, call the fourth. Someone's going to have the damn part in town. If not, you could have it brought over. You can have it shipped in from Chico, California, right? There's a shit pile of auto parts stores down there. If they couldn't get it from Chico, they'd get it from Sacramento. If they couldn't get it from Sacramento, they would get it from San Francisco and have it there the next fucking day. But now mechanics, folks, in the auto world, truck, heavy truck, farm tractor, are having harder time getting the parts. They're having to call not just the next town, not just across the state, but all over the country looking for parts. And it's getting harder and harder to get. The captain has become a YouTube member. Thank you there, Captain. That's another great way to contribute and support the Prepared Mind Network. But yeah, folks, we're going to see shortages. So small towns like where you're at there, JJ, make sure you've got what you need, because when it's done, it's done. When they close the highway, when the trucks stop coming, when the shelves are empty, that's it. You're on your own. Game over. You now are self-reliant. But the government wants you to be reliant upon them. Remember, I don't know if you remember or not, but it used to be years ago, we discussed that in the event of SHTF, the government could take control of all of the food stores, because they wouldn't want people going in and clearing out the shelves. They wouldn't want that, right? They don't want people coming in and clearing out the shelves. That is, taking everything they can. Hoarding. We don't want hoarders around here. And I saw a lady once who had a huge basket full of food. I said, did you hoard all that yourself? She says, no, my sister hoarded half of it. Anyways, yeah, they don't want hoarders. They don't want looters, folks. And so the idea was that there'll be food stores and they will ration out food the same way they did, folks, in communist Russia and communist China. Rationing, that is to say, the government says you get 1 loaf of bread. It doesn't matter, folks, whether you've got 2 children or 10, whether you've got 1 person in your house or 6, you'll get what they say you're allowed to have. And you're like, nah, John, that's bullshit. That never happened in America. It's already happening. In the state of Pennsylvania, because of the alcohol shortages that are now appearing in wine, beer, liquor, because of these shortages, they're now going to ration alcoholic beverages in Pennsylvania. It's coming. It's absolutely coming. We got Darcy is checked in with a huge $50 PayPal super chat donation. Says, hello, John. Another friend that took the Jim Jones juice has now had 2 minor strokes and no one knows why. Anyone else seeing this trend? If you're still with us, and we're at 1,176 people live. If you're still here, folks, closing in on 2 hours, 1,180. I want to hit 1,200 subscribers or 1,200 viewers live. I'm going to share with you something that I've been reluctant to tell you about. This weekend, This fucking weekend, I got a message via a friend. That someone they know got the Kool-Aid and was otherwise a healthy person. His name was Uncle, right? Everyone has an uncle. Uncles can be 30 years old, 40 years old, or 50 years old, right? Uncle. Well, their uncle is in a hospital bed suffering from mad cow disease. Nothing else ever wrong with this person. Now he's got mad cow disease. What does that have to do with anything, John? Well, mad cow disease is caused by these things called prions. Prions, spike proteins. Again, I know somebody who works with the elderly who have Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's patients kind of lose their memory. They kind of go down south. And then the way she described it is they're bad, then they get worse, then they kind of cruise along at bad, then they get worse, and it's kind of like a stair step down, except now with all of the Kool-Aid being distributed out there, these people with Alzheimer's just go straight down. There's no more leveling out and having a few good weeks or months and then going down again. They're just going from bad to worse and fast. So when you ask, Darcy, anyone else seeing this trend? I'm seeing and hearing a lot. Strokes, enlarged heart, health issues of all kinds, muscle weakness, fatigue, nerve issues. Yeah, I tell you what, folks, don't drink your own bathwater. Don't eat your own shit. And don't drink Kool-Aid. Bernard Shreve Jr. is a $5 super chat donation. And folks, we cleared 1,200. It's a great broadcast. A ton of people are here. And I want to welcome all of you and say to all of you, click subscribe on this channel and click the notification bell. Get subscribed and the notification bell so when we talk about shit going down, shit happening, whether it is an emergency event or just a bunch more crap that's come about, you'll get a notification and you can come and join. You can listen in and then you can prepare yourself and then you can help others because people are waking up now, folks. It's called being red-pilled. People are being red-pilled left and right. People are red-pilling themselves going, you know what? I've had enough of this bullshit. I'm going to figure it out for myself. They take the covers off their eyes and they're like, holy shit, this is fucking bad. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you see the damage communism has done to this world, you can't unsee it. Same with fascism. You can't unsee it. You see all the murder, all the corruption, all the theft, all the destruction that is perpetrated against the people by the ruling elite and the powers that run them. The aristocrats, the royals of Europe run the show, folks. All right, so Bernard Shreve Jr. with the $5 super chat donation says, keep us in your prayers. Our house is a quarantine home. We got the cerveza bug. Good time to start my prepper channel, at least a week off work. Well, number one, I'm sorry to hear that you got that or that your home is a quarantine home. What I will recommend is that you find out what treatments are available to you. Now, this came up earlier this week, and I want to thank Jolene for this. Is there are doctors that you can see over the internet. This is completely lawful. They're experts, they're trained medical professionals. You no longer have to get in your car and drive to a hospital or a doctor's office and sit around for fucking hours waiting to see somebody who really doesn't want to see you. There are doctors that will see you via the internet, and they will get you the prescription you need for the treatments that we want all of us to have. The treatments to protect us from illness. And when you get illness, it treats your symptoms and takes care of the problem. Who wouldn't want that? Well, at thepreparedmind.club, Jolene will have, and is going to keep putting up organizations. I think one of them is goodrx.com. I think I've used them myself to get prescription products I needed. Now, the one Jolene has found is much better. It's not as generic, and it is more specific to the needs of preppers. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. That's a little Monty Python for you. Anyways, we got Stephen Glenn back in the house with a $5 super chat donation. And we haven't heard from Steve Conlon this week over in jolly old England. We have a lot of news out of Australia. We get a lot of news out of the UK. Belfast, Ireland is where Vincent Boyle's from. We've got people all over the planet. We have a huge contingent of people like Remy from the Netherlands. Everywhere, folks. As far south as Tasmania, which is on the southern side or the bottom half of Australia. This show reaches far and wide, and it gets information for you guys. Anyways, Stephen Glenn is in, and he says, your service contract folks are having similar issues with control boards for stoves, washers and dryers, ovens, fridges, etc. Another food rush is coming. I agree with you, Stephen. The food rush he's talking about is not a rush of food being dumped into the market, but rather the people on the street rushing out to buy food because they are having fear. In fact, in the United Kingdom, they're trying to say, hey, stop panic buying. This is last week because people are pissed, they're scared, they're worried, and they see the government continuing to lock them down, take their rights, and fuck them over. Consequently, they're like, you know what? We see where this is leading, right? I've heard this fucking song before, and they're out buying a bunch of food. The average person in the United Kingdom is now thinking about being a prepper. As soon as people become a prepper, instead of going to the store and buying 1 week's worth of food, they go to the store and buy 2 weeks worth of food, and they double their purchases. What if they buy 4 weeks? They've just quadrupled the amount they purchase, and the stores can't replace that on the shelves because of just-in-time delivery. Another food rush is coming, Stephen. It's coming to America. It's already in Australia, folks. I've seen footage, camera footage taken from supermarkets in Australia where the vegetable section is 20% full. And by 20% full, I mean 80% is missing, gone. There's no potatoes. There's no carrots. There's no apples, or there's only a few apples or one type of apple. And they have rationing. And don't worry, if you get out of hand, they'll call the cops, who would be more than happy to come in and beat your head down into the ground, into a pulp in Australia. Unbelievable what is going on, folks. Unbelievable. We got Daniel Andrews with a $4.99 super chat donation. He says, I've come to the conclusion that since the rest of the population in the world will not comply with the cerveza bug Kool-Aid, it's about to be depopulated by starvation. I can't argue with that. They are doing everything in government. They're doing everything to make the worst possible decisions with every aspect of our life, whether it has to do with legal decisions, how to educate children, what the military should be doing, how, folks, we should dispose of our crops, our agricultural products. The government wants to pay farms to not raise pigs, chickens, goats, ducks, cows. Don't grow these crops because Bill Gates wants to feed you bugs. Good God. Bugs or impossible meat, which is soy, which is jacked, loaded full of plant estrogens. And folks, your body doesn't know much difference between human-created estrogen or petroleum estrogens or plant estrogens. They're all estrogens to us. Estrogen's a hormone. And like any other hormone, it goes to a switch in your body, and your body says, what do you want me to do? And the hormone says, we want you to go up, or we want you to go down. And so if you've got an overriding amount of estrogen in your body, more than it should, you're going to have your body start malfunctioning, causes all kinds of health problems, folks. The same way, if you get way too much testosterone, poof, right? You can become a roid rage is what they call it, right? You can just become this hyper jacked killing machine. Well, why is it bad to have men with high testosterone, apart from them being toxic masculinity, but it's okay to have hyper jacked estrogen people? Well, the difference is one becomes very aggressive while the other becomes a soy boy. You bet they want soy meat for you and they want bugs. I don't think I want either. Timothy Mahoney checks in with a $9.99 super chat donation. And without looking, I seem to remember that Timothy Mahoney is a millennial, that he's a young man, that he completed his education, and that he's very conservative, and he wants us to know, in the past, he's told us that he wanted us to know that not all millennials are lazy pieces of shit. And of course, we knew that. But also, I wanted to, I remember when he donated, did a super chat donation, that he made a good point back then and let us know not all kids are a fucking lost cause. And I understand that, believe it, and thank him for it. But Timothy is an example of the leadership that his generation is going to need. Folks, all of us have a role and a purpose in life. And some of us we had our roles in the past. Some of us have a role now. Some of us will have a role in the future. But it all is determined and dependent upon how intelligent we are, prepared we are, etc. Now let's see what Timothy has to say. He says, I work in a lot of different manufacturing. Everyone's running on a skeleton crew. Between another lockdown and the current logistics situation, it could get really ugly. Looks like Timothy showed up in manufacturing. Congratulations, man. Apparently, if you want to work, there's not a problem finding jobs. The problem is finding enough workers, and it's creating problems. A skeleton crew, folks, is a term used by experienced, intelligent people to refer to having barely enough people to get the job done, or having barely enough people to keep the doors open and the business operating, but they can't keep up with demand, right? Employee shortages, skeleton crew. If that is you, Timothy, and I remember you correctly, good luck, brother. Work hard, kick ass, don't make excuses. But man, it's going to be rough. So thank you for the warning, folks, that it's going to get really ugly. I agree that it is. We got Nicole Olson, who checks in with a $10 super chat donation and says, had an uncle so scared of V, that would be cerveza bug. Uncle was so scared of V that he drank the Kool-Aid. He wore a mask even in his house. Finally went outside, caught a cold, and died within days. Hope this opens the eyes of my extended family. Nicole, I'm sorry to hear about your uncle. I want to thank you for sharing the story. Folks, if there was a polio outbreak and they said, here's the polio shot, it's been around since 1940. Everyone gets the polio shot. We're all vaccinated against polio. No one will get polio. No one is crippled by polio. No one dies from polio. Kool-Aid is not a vaccine. Kool-Aid is a cool, refreshing drink that doesn't vaccinate anybody. Kool-Aid is Kool-Aid. Okay, vaccines are vaccines. Kool-Aid is Kool-Aid. Nicole's story. Her uncle drank the Kool-Aid. He ended up getting sick anyways and dying of the very thing that he thought he was going to be protected from. Everyone, open your eyes. Learn what you can. On Patreon, folks, we can be more explicit. We can use names. We can name names. We can use names of doctors, treatments, real statistics, what is going on. I invite you all to go there. It's only $2 a month. It is only 7 cents a day. But again, Nicole, I'm very sorry to hear about your uncle. And this is happening in a lot of places. It's happening in a lot of places where people think that they're safe and they're not. And then when something bad happens, instead of blaming the failure of the Kool-Aid. They want to blame you because you didn't do what you were supposed to. You didn't do as you were told. You didn't listen to Uncle Biden. Crazy stuff. We got Taurosaurus checks in again with another $9.99 super chat donation. And I tell you what, man, Taurosaurus Rex. We're still well over 1,227, folks. 1,229, 1,227 live viewers. We're about to wrap it up unless we get more super chat donations. We usually go about 2 hours. But if there's more donations, more questions, more comments, more griping, more bitching, more jokes, whatever, I'll stay on with you guys live. I think our world record is 3.5 hours. We're at the 2 hour mark, which is about normal. And to have this many people, 1,225 people at 2 hours is absolutely incredible. Now, one of the things that this does is it kicks my week off Sunday night and kicks my ass because this whole entire show is improvisational and it depends on you guys. So I have to talk about whatever you bring up, and it's hard. It ain't easy. It's a lot of fun, and it wears me out. Absolutely wears me out, but I love every minute of it, folks, because this show, The Zoo, is all about you guys and what you want to talk about. So we got Mile Hyde, $9.99 super chat donation. He says, "Hey John, I sent an email earlier on theRsyndicate.com regarding a very serious issue that I'd like to discuss offline on the phone if possible with you and maybe Uman as well." Mile Hyde, Uman is in charge. It's his website. I've got the preparedmind.club and then all of the Prepared Mind YouTube channels and Patreon. But Uman is theRsyndicate.com, and I hope he finds it and reads the subject matter, shares it with me. I don't see anything on my emails popping up, but Uman is very good. If he can find it, if it's there, we'll get to it. I know, folks, that there are a lot of us that are just really frustrated, concerned, pissed off. I wish I could share with you more of the news I hear that comes from inside sources, but one, I'm not allowed, or two, it's not credible, or three, it can't be confirmed. And so it's very rare that information that comes like we're talking about from Mile Hyde, where, hey, I got some stuff that you better hear about. But what it does do when we get information like that, what it does do is it causes me to look in a different direction. As you guys know, I love to talk about subjects, and everyone else takes subject A and goes way over here. Subject A, get lots of rice and beans and this and that. Anyone can talk about that. I want to say, yeah, well, what's missing from that, right? Meat, spices, that's just food, right? When it comes to politics, I do the same thing. Everyone's talking about ABC in politics. I want to talk about something that applies to that, but is a different way of looking at it. Kind of like that question we got earlier, right? Well, if they open up prison camps, what are they going to do with preppers when they get there? Well, yeah, they're going to put them to work doing those things they're good at. In other words, turning your prepper skills into an asset for the government or that particular FEMA camp, wellness camp, health camp, re-education camp. Unbelievable stuff. We're at the 2 hour and 10-minute mark. I'm not seeing anything from Jolene, so it's looking like we're going to wrap this up, folks. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back. Oh, shoot, Mr. Skylight checks in with $99.99. And he says, yo, bro, you're awesome. Thank you, Mr. Skylight, for that awesome donation. I've got all of your emails. After the show, I'll start going over them. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to go over them. Mr. Skylight is a fantastic contributor on the information side, along with Mr. Lord and Bonnie Blue and many, many, many others. Rick, Ron, everybody. Folks, there's a lot to do and a lot to get into. My job is never done. It could be 24/7, 365. And I'm only as awesome as you guys. If you weren't here, if you didn't want to hear this, this channel wouldn't exist. But you guys want to hear this, and there's thousands and thousands every day that want to hear this. And so here I am, and you support it. We got Timothy Mahoney checks in with a 99 super chat. He says, "Hey John, it is me. I'm actually leaving in a month. I joined the Army Reserves as a combat medic." Semper Fi, man. He says, "It's a good choice for where I'm at, and I'm trying to maximize my 20s. Keep rocking, man." What he means by he's trying to maximize his 20s, folks, is he's a man. He's in his 20s. And in your 20s, you start developing your business acumen. You take your educational experience and you start applying it to your professional skills, and you start moving up that, shall we say, professional ladder. Building credibility, building your resume, so that when you get into your 30s and then your 40s, you can move into management, executive position. You can become an entrepreneur for yourself, having found a niche that you like. It's an incredible journey, life. Now, sadly, Timothy, sadly, you are in a harder position than I was in at your age, because America used to be the land of opportunity. And folks, there were opportunities everywhere, and it was rather easy. But today, well, we're not going to hire your company, Timothy, unless you make sure everyone has the Jim Jones juice. Well, you know, Timothy, we've decided that you're not sympathetic enough to the BLM political mandates. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? What does that have to do with the superior product or service I provide? It's just going to be more difficult, but that does not mean it's impossible. So never, ever give up. And of course, right, fight at this point, Timothy. You're a young man in your 20s. Turn your attention to fixing the fucking problem that's out there. There's plenty of commies out there. They're both lazy and stupid, but there's a lot of them. And they've been told and promised that they get to have all of your money if they keep doing what they're doing, which is sitting on their hands or their fucking thumb. Anyways, it's great to hear from you again, Timothy. I hope you're well. Keep busting your ass, man. Bust your ass. You don't have a choice, right? If you're prepping, keep prepping. You don't have a choice anymore. None of us have a fucking choice. I know people that were lackadaisical about prepping 3 years ago. They're like, yeah, I'm a prepper. It's pretty cool. Got some stuff. Got some guns. And I justified having some gun time. Now it's like, oh, fuck. And they're raking shit in and getting stuff lined out and prepping and putting plans together because the world is different. It's totally different. Anyways, it's great hearing from you again, Timothy, and best of luck to you, man. Really. I mean, there's nothing, and I've told this to another friend lately, there's nothing I want to see more than good people succeed because they put the time and effort and they had the drive and the willpower and they did it. They did it. We got Greg Madeira, $5 super chat. He says, Norway is free today. Will we do the same? If I am correct, you're talking about Norway's attitude with regard to cerveza bug madness, cerveza bug hysteria. I think Norway has declared it's done. Zip, zilch, nada, it's not a problem anymore. And I said also last week, well, the UK, the United Kingdom, has decided that by next spring, they'll be done with it. I hope that's what you're referring to, Greg, because that's my understanding of what's going on in Norway. Norway is probably going, you know what? It was a fucking lie to begin with. And we are now behind the 8 ball. Our supply chain problems, we got food problems, we got problems with people not wanting to go to work, got a bunch of lazy bastards sitting around. We can't afford this. Oh yeah, and government, guess what? If no one's working, they get less tax revenue. If we're not working, you're not making anything. If you're not making anything, you can't sell anything. If you're not selling anything, not getting any sales tax. If you're not selling anything, these companies aren't making money. They're not getting corporate taxes. If people aren't working, they're not generating an income. There's no income tax. Government is not getting the money they need to sustain, to self-sustain. That's right, folks. There's a supply shortage for us. There's a tax shortage for government. So why is government screwing themselves? The same way YouTube screws itself by banishing people who are producing content. They're willing to forego their wealth in order to attain that which they otherwise would not be able to get unless they violate common sense. But, right, just as you could take your right leg, amputate it, and eat it for dinner to sustain yourself, you eventually self-cannibalize. You've got both your legs cut off and one arm, and you've only got one arm left, right? What are you going to eat next? There's nothing left to cannibalize. On top of that, if you wanted to go back to work and actually start growing your own food instead of eating yourself, now you've only got one arm to do it with instead of two arms and two legs. Governments are cannibalizing themselves right now by destroying their own countries in order to weaken them to the point where they can fundamentally change that nation. And Obama, who runs the Biden administration at the behest of his masters in Europe, is willing to cannibalize America, that is, destroy it in order to change it, and then try and create order out of chaos. They create the chaos. You can't have order out of chaos if you've got order. So they've got to take our order and create chaos, and then take that chaos and create their new world order. Fundamentally change the United States of America. It's going to be hard to do with all 350 million of us living here and not all of us saying that's a good idea. In fact, the half that have the guns are saying that's not a good idea. We have Brad Jones checking in. Hey, Brad, with a $2 super sticker. Thank you, Brad. And we're still cruising along, well over 1,000 subscribers, viewers live right now. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscriber button. Taurosaurus checks in and says, it's encouraging to see people waking up. Stand on our convictions. We will be forgiven for defending our country. I know it and feel it. True, true, and true. We need to have the courage of our convictions. That is, we know the difference between right and wrong. And when you see wrong, it needs to be righted. People don't like it, folks, when people are fighting. People don't like it when someone steps in and fixes the problem. But it's better to fix the problem that takes 5 minutes rather than let the fight extend and go on for day after day after year. Our country right now is in a struggle. It's in a huge fight with itself because one half of the country is communist scum trying to steal the other half of the country. Those who have the power and authority to fix the problem should, and they will be supported if they try and fix it. That is, take action. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not a spook. Okay, I don't belong to a country, a private contractor club, right? Not a merc. I can't do anything about it. If I tried doing something about it, the FBI would be at my door knocking, John, why are you trying to subvert the will of the United States government? I'm not, right? But there are people out there that can and have the power and authority, and they would be supported. And if they stood up and said, hey, we need you to help, I know a bunch of you would say, pick me, I want to help. All right, we got Al Wismiller with a $10 super chat donation. Thank you, Al. And there was this show, there was a cartoon, it was a really crappy cartoon in the 70s called Super Chicken. There was also Hong Kong Phooey, which is probably considered racist now, even though it's not. A lot of goofy ass cartoons from the 70s. But yeah, the Super Chicken was a funny one. So I kind of modeled the Super Chat after Super Chicken. 2 hours and 20 minutes in, folks. Are we done? It looks like we're done. Unless there's some more Super Chat donations out there and questions from you guys, I'm going to call it done. Cooked. Sunday Night Live over. I want to thank you guys for stepping up and making this show successful, for helping friends, helping family, helping coworkers, helping your neighbors, your neighborhoods and communities. We need to wake up, we need to get prepared, and then we need to roll up our sleeves, and we're going to end up having to go to work. When the balloon finally goes up, folks, and we know who the bad guys are, and it's time to go get them. That's going to be one hell of a day in American history. It's going to start, folks. There's 50 states, and every state is has its fair share of communists and fascists who need to go to jail for their crimes against humanity, for their crimes against the United States Constitution, and for their crimes against the people. You could read, folks, right now, the Declaration of Independence in its current form and see within it egregious levels of crime committed against our country and its people by those who are operating from within our government. Isn't that absolutely incredible? Read it for yourself. Oh, by the way, if you go read the Constitution at thenationalarchives.com, there'll be a warning on there, a trigger warning saying that there's racism in those documents, that they're bad documents, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. You bet, folks, they want to declare our foundational documents as evil, as bad, as corrupt. And they've done it. That is our government in action. Unbelievable. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Get prepared, folks, and I ain't kidding. Semper Fi, Godspeed.
How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Intruders